Yeah, I think I might use ballpoint pen today. I like it because you get like I actually don't know if you can see it. You get like really interesting marks and details. But you wouldn't think ballpoint pen for drawing most of the time. But I think that's what I'm going to use. Yesterday I did colored pencil, and each day I'm going to strive to use a different medium. So here we go. Here we got the book. I'm going to flip to day 2, which will be the, what are we calling this one? This is called The Party in the Back. And that's the one we're gonna work on now. So if you're ready, I'm just gonna start, and if you guys have questions, feel free to fire them away. We'll do it for like an hour. If you're watching this video later on and you have some questions, feel free just to go to the Kopialine website and send me an email, or on Facebook or Instagram or whatever you got. So usually what I do, I just kind of like enjoy what I'm looking at, try to figure out what I'm feeling, like where I want to start. I don't have a plan myself, and you may want to think about having a little plan. So think about some of the rules like we talked about, what you might want to do. But I'm going to start with these little bits of hair, because I know they pop off the face. So I'm going to just try to make them a little bit darker underneath. And that'll just give it some depth like right away, which is kind of nice. And this pen, because it's kind of an imperfect ink, I'm going to get more texture, which is okay, because he's a bit scruffy. And I think this time around I'm not going to just do the lines. I'm actually going to try to add some things to my drawing, including extra texture. For instance, what that would mean would be like here, you see the bottom lip line, but under it, you would have maybe an extra line down there. Maybe I would add little bits of scruff on his face here. And I turn my page a lot because it actually helps me. So this here, I don't know if you can see this, on his upper lip, this little extra mark. This is classical mistake kind of stuff, but I tend not to worry about those anymore. I think I make mistakes all the time, and I'm just like, yeah, it's fine. Just adds to the style, and you just figure out how to use it. So in this case, I'm just going to give him more defined teeth, and that's how I'm going to kind of distract from maybe that broken shape. And teeth are pretty simple. It's just a row of whatever kind of teeth you want. You can make them look pretty gnarly too, just by breaking up the edges. Hey Glenn, I don't know if we did, but did you send out a follow-up email today? Alright, so I gave him kind of an animal nose because he's a bit of an animal. Not like super drastic, but I mean, it's there, right? Oh, well, thank you. Thanks, Megan. Hopefully Megan can draw along too. So I'm not going to worry about little mistakes like this little line going into the eye. That kind of thing can be a real thorn in your side, I think, when you're drawing. You know, like, oh, I did this one thing, now my whole drawing's ruined. And I don't care about that line. The rest of the drawing's great. So then, uh, my drawing changed when I was pretty young. When I learned from an artist that you really can take mistakes and turn them into something. And maybe that's a hard thing to kind of adapt to, but it's simple problem solving, you know. So I have this little line going into this other eye, and what do I do with it? So the eye is kind of round. There's this line here that makes it look kind of round. So if I add to it like this, all of a sudden that little line is gone. Now there's other solutions to that. Let's see. So teeth lines don't go all the way down. They can. It's up to you. For me, it looks creepier. I have paper somewhere. Oh, here. To me, it looks creepier if you draw teeth and you make sure all the teeth are like defined. To me, that's a bit creepier than if I have a mouth and I just draw like kind of the hint of teeth. You can do some little lines, and so this is a technique in art because how it works is your mind kind of will fill in these extra little lines, right? Your mind can do that, so it can make that assumption, and that's just a better looking smile. So this eye, I really love this. The way that it's dark throughout the eye. There's kind of a trick happening here because there's an iris, so there's a dark circle in the middle of the eye, and that's what we actually see with that dark circle. But then there's usually shading, so one side of the eye will be lighter than the other because it's all kind of convex or concave. So it's a style to put those like make it lighter here, put some dark lines going around it. So it's a bit of a trick the way that I've illustrated it here, which I think is worth mentioning because understanding how something like that works might help you in your choices when you're drawing it out. So a couple more people joined here. I'm using ballpoint pen to do this day, this one. Yesterday I used colored pencil, which is one of my favorites for copiographic images. But ballpoint, it's so fun because it's messy. And that messiness adds texture. And really, that texture adds life. So I still just move around. I move around to things that I like. I'm like, okay, that was pretty fun. I'm getting bored or getting tired of working on this area. So I'm going to move to something else. And I think finding out what you enjoy about drawing is in there. So I kind of enjoy bringing form and and things to parts of my drawing now. So I look at this ear and I say, this ear needs lines, like it needs some form. So my first thought is, I know this part of the ear, this little eardrum, it goes in. So I'll draw the upper bit, and I'll add a little bit to the bottom. And same up here. Draw that upper line, a little bit to the bottom, and it starts to bring it to life. And if I want to add more depth, I'll really I'll shade it a little bit so as if it's getting darker going in the ear. And that to me is just really part of what I enjoy. So I look for opportunities to do that. So I'll work on this ear for a little bit. Be like, okay, how do I give it life? How do I bring it form? How do I bring it to how do I bring it to life? Maybe he's got little hairs on his ear. Maybe it needs a little highlight. And then I go, okay, what other areas need little highlights? Or little hairs? And I massage it a little bit. But I want to start defining this hair. And so here's something to talk about too, is hair. It came up yesterday, so I thought I would talk about it today, which is the hair, like some of our instincts when we're drawing hair is to draw like every single strand of hair. So if I take my paper here and we draw some hair, it's kind of instinctive just to go like this and go like, yeah, I know hair is a bunch of strands, right? So I'm gonna just draw my hair like this. But you see pretty quickly it's getting super messy. But hair, the way we depict it simplistically, are kind of grouped shapes. So they're, for lack of a better word, they're planes that are I guess they're groupings of hair, and they're kind of held together by their own texture. And when you draw it that way, it just makes it easier to read, easier to depict, and frankly, it's more pleasing probably because it's more realistic. Unless you know people with like super frizzy hair all the time, or that's like your world, then I think having some more stylized hair is going to be better. I have this thing I do now in the corner. I draw little triangles. So when I get into a corner, so I'm going up here to the ear, I'm probably going to end up drawing just a triangle there. And it just automatically adds form, which I really like. And I have it rounded at the top, up here, a little bit rounded. I'm going to probably make him a little bit pointier, because I want him to come across as a bit more intense or dangerous, even though he's so happy. And if you notice, the way I draw it is I make these little tiny movements, these flicks. I'm not doing full lines, so I'm not following the contour like the whole way. I do little flicks, which help me make, I think, small corrections. It's kind of like driving. You do small corrections rather than just crank the wheel. And these are broad strokes. So these are the bigger lines, but in these drawings, there's tons of opportunity to add texture and pattern and form. So that's what I'll end up doing with like his suit, because he's kind of muscular. He's got like very distinctive shapes. So his form is very defined. And if you consider all of these bits round, then just consider what a round object looks like when it's drawn. And I like doing this double line thing when I make a line. So I'll show you, if I make this line, I don't leave one line, I always try to add a couple lines. And yeah, I'll show you up close. All these double lines, it does something special that I like, and I can't really put my finger on it. I think it just probably adds some dimension to it. Because if you think this would have a shadow, this whole section here, it would be a secondary line. You could add a secondary line, and that would make it look three-dimensional. So I think these little lines do that in a smaller way, but it's still there. Just makes this like there's a little maybe 3D edge on this side. And I'm happy to answer questions if you guys have any. I'm just kind of chatting, but if you got any burning questions, or you've been working on your Copia book and you're curious about something, maybe you're struggling or trying to figure out how to do it more, or wondering what you should be doing, really anything, I'll try to answer. And sometimes I just pause when I'm drawing, and I just try to look at it. And I don't know, I think I take it in. I think it helps me to make choices as I'm going, or see what I'm doing that I'm not liking, and maybe how to change it up. But I think for the most part, it goes pretty well if I'm just I'm pretty involved in my lines, and I'm just enjoying myself. I think then the picture's just going to turn out however it does, and the point of it then is more just the enjoyment, the little bit of time you spend with each line. And I think that's really part of the power of drawing, is it's really meditative. You go into these little marks you're making, and you're being creative, and you're kind of enjoying the beauty of it. And maybe it's a bit of a divine thing. I think also there is a bit of interpretation to my pages and my book. It's not easy to depict an illustration like this with with very minimal lighting and shapes and colors. So you can get lost in something like these fingers. And I've noticed that people will miss lines entirely, or they just, for some reason, they don't actually consider what they're drawing. So they'll mash it together in a whole different way than what it is. So, and that's fine. I'm definitely not knocking people that have done that or do that, because it's, we're human. We do that. These are things that are bound to happen. But what I'm trying to get at is maybe just take some time to consider what this is. You could even, if you're drawing the hand, you could put your hand up and go, okay, I can see what that is. I get that. And take your time. Go slowly. Okay, Jenna asks, how much understanding of anatomy do you think is best for helping you draw muscles? That's tricky. That's an interesting question, because obviously the better you understand anatomy, the better you're going to be able to draw muscles. but how much is important to be able to do it and depict them. Because you can do it without having a real deep understanding of anatomy, like the underlying bone structure. You might not get that underlying bone structure and ligaments and like organs and things like that, but what really would help is understanding how all that stuff works together. Like, so knowing muscles, you have to know that the muscles attach to bones, and understanding really how the muscles contract and how they function. So this bicep, for instance, its only job is to contract this arm. So pull this arm up. Like that's that one muscle's job. Knowing how it attaches in here under this muscle is kind of important. But I grew up without that understanding, drawing superheroes and putting, muscles everywhere. And I remember having a science teacher in like 6th grade go, "Hey, you should probably study some human anatomy," because I was just drawing like, for lack of a better word, like balls. These muscular, these muscles. I was just drawing muscles everywhere. Like I would give a guy like 60 abs. I was like, "Yeah, it's awesome, right?" It's like, no, it's not even accurate. But you don't need to know it incredibly well either. It just helps. So the better you understand it, I think the more accurate, the more easy to accept your picture's probably going to be. All right, so Glenn's asking if I can talk about the eyes a bit and how we can bring out more life or personality through the eyes. Yeah, that's interesting. I've been commented on with my work since I was a kid about like my ability to put emotion into my pictures, my characters, and bring them to life. And I don't know why I've definitely noticed other artists who struggle with that. And I'm certain I must have struggled with it at some point. I think when I was younger, all my characters were just pissed off all the time. But in the end, I think it's probably my inner actor that helps me do that. So when it comes to something like eyes, you're talking about just more subtle expressions in the eyes, because the eyes really are very expressive. And there's kind of simple rules. And these are things you have to kind of discover as you draw. So if I draw 2 eyes, and I draw the eyes in there, you can see he's kind of wild-eyed. If I draw 2 eyes in there and I draw a line above them, well, now he's sleepy. So if I draw 2 eyes, and I draw lines underneath, he looks kind of excited, just like my guy. And then there's additional things. So I drew a fairly realistic inner eye, so that will add some life to it. I made it kind of 3-dimensional, but I also put this highlight in there, which is kind of important. So if I draw a couple eyes, let's say, let me fill it in. We draw 2 more. These are kind of rough, except now I'm gonna put highlights in there because the eyeball is actually kind of wet, And let me fill this in. So now, automatically, not only is it a bit more 3-dimensional, a bit more realistic, but it has a bit of that puppy dog effect. But this is like a cartoon eye. Obviously, you can go into more of a realistic eye. And if the eyelids are closed, maybe they're a bit more serious. But that's the eye. If I draw the rest of him, maybe he's got a smile and now he's just relaxed. So I think it's a bit of a hard question to answer, because it's a complex part of human expression, and all those parts are connected to each other. So even the way he's posed really kind of counts, to what he's expressing as an emotion. Yeah, these muscles are interesting to try to understand too, which could make it difficult to draw this. Is like if you're not really sure the depth of these or how these work, then even drawing them on Kopialine will be difficult to give them 3 dimensions. You know, these ones are on the outside. This one is kind of, they're funny because they're the same shape, they're just kind of opposite. And this one inserts in under these, and they're all attached to this like big bone. And the kneecap's just on top. And I'm just going to be adding lots of texture with this pen, because that's a big part of like what I'm enjoying about it. And I have lots to do really, but I've gone pretty far in a short amount of time. And you can take a lot longer with your page than I have. I kind of draw fast because I think I probably work for about an hour and then I take a little break. And that just seems to be what I've always done. So I've adapted to my inability to just draw continually for hours. And instead I was like, okay, if I want to draw really well, I have to learn. I can't just stay fixed and say, okay, this is how I draw, and I have to just kind of deal with, you know, my skill level being stuck here. You know, so instead I was like, okay, I don't really want to draw very long, but I want it to still be good. Because I know I just need to get up and move around or do something else for a little bit. Oh, and look at this. I'm getting ink on my hand. So it's smudging a little bit, but I actually kind of like that. It looks alright. So partially, I look around after a bit and I go, what am I missing? What have I not touched on? Or what else can I add to it? And I just think of like, for me it's adding depth. And I'm thankful I understand how to do that now, but making things like 3D, you know. So what you could do here, so this eye here and the mouth is pretty dark. I haven't thought to fill them in, but maybe I'll do that. Now I did a kind of hatch there, and the trick with making those look nice is you want to keep it going in the same direction. If you turn a little bit, that's fine, but just keep going in that and turn it differently. You don't really want to like do it a little bit this way, then a little bit this way, then a little bit this way. You absolutely can. To me, it just loses a bit of flow. So these are background, just kind of like generic background lines, so they definitely can be creative. You can have fun with them. And you can totally add things to these drawings. My girlfriend Jenna likes to add thought bubbles or speech, speaking bubbles. Let's see. Do you recommend starting, let's see, shorter warm-ups before trying to draw something for an extended period of time? Yeah, I think so. I think usually if I draw for an extended period of time, my drawing is my warm-up. If it's something like this, I'll start slow and build up, and I kind of get warmed up as I'm doing it. But if you're gonna try to do actual warm-up drawings, that's okay too. I mean, I used to do that. I would notice that it would take me, actually when I was younger, it would take me about an hour before I was like drawing well. And that was frustrating in a way, because I had to like kind of draw poorly for an hour. And then I would be all warmed up and all of a sudden my lines would start to look great. things would start to flow really well. And at life drawing, when I used to do life drawing, we would always start with warm-ups, like 2-minute warm-ups. And they're quick poses, you draw quickly, don't give yourself lots of time. And that pressure, I think, helps you to kind of focus your attention in the right places. You know, like I need to put my attention in my hand and actually the lines that it's making. And I don't need to be worrying about my bills right now. You know what I mean? Or school or relationships or whatever. I need to be focused on what I'm doing. Now on this eye, I chose to go up and down straight. You could curve it actually, and that would work better. I realize that in hindsight, but that's fine. I like that. So I have, let's see, about 25 minutes left. I finished my page for the most part. So then what do I do? You know, I could call this done, and usually, I mean, I guess that's how it works. Art is done when the artist says it's done. So I'm going to figure out how I can enhance this even more. And right now I'm just starting to add a thicker line all around my character, because I want him to stand out. And I know that this looks good when I do it. And I'm also going to take the time to really put more depth, like more kind of darker lines in the areas where light can't reach. And this will bring him to life and make him a little more 3D. And you can see it starting to happen already here. I'm not going to do it to everything, but I am going to add it in places that I think will enhance it. So I'll take this time to say, you know, we're going to be doing this for the rest of the week. We're going to be even finishing it up on Saturday. It would be very awesome if we had lots of people show up gradually, like more and more people each day. That would be awesome. We had more people yesterday, but I'm not going to worry about it. I'm just here to have some fun, and we're trying to give back a little bit. So, you know, go download the pages, bring some friends, have a little party at home when you're in your quarantined house, and you know, really just draw along and ask me questions. If you think it would be cool or good to have a professional artist that you could ask all the questions that you might want to ask if you ever wanted to develop your skill at drawing, this might be a good time to do it. And so we're going to be doing each of the pages. Normally we charge for them. They're all pages from the book that we made, but we're putting them out for free so that people can kind of print at home. And it really doesn't matter if they're black and white or in color. You just print whatever you can, and if you can go to Staples, bring it to Staples or something and print a bunch. But we'd love to have you and hang out and do some nice drawing. I think it's a good relaxing thing to do, and I definitely enjoy it. I'm having a lot of fun making these. I get to start on working on my book. coming along pretty well. It's looking pretty awesome. I think I may add some extra lines in the hair, because I did it on the other side. And I want them to go at the same flow. So I want parallel lines to these arcs. And that'll create a nice kind of grouping of hair. And I'll do the same to these too. So he's got a mullet. So his mullet, the hair comes up, and then it all comes down in the back. Thus the name, Party in the Back. Business in front. All right, we're getting there. I'm actually nearing completion on this guy. So I got to kind of start looking around and wonder, look at the different things I've done and wonder what I can do to do more, if I want to do more. Sometimes a lot of my drawings are just very simple, and I'm okay with that. Thanks, Susie. Susie says, great video. Well, hopefully you can draw along, Susie. I know you have the book, and I'm just using ballpoint pen today. I don't know what I'm going to do tomorrow. Yesterday I did color pencil, and that was pretty fun. I've drawn with ballpoint pen on these pages before and had a great time, had a pretty good result. So I'm thinking maybe tomorrow might just be pencil. So on the teeth here, I am going to actually cut out some shapes. Because he is a bit scruffy, he's a bit gnarly, you can definitely just do little chips out of the teeth, and it makes him look a bit more hokey. Because he's a happy little guy, but he's definitely scruffy. Now, because I'm fairly done, I'm really just going through and I'm wondering what I can add to it, and I'm pulling out little details and just trying to. I think at this point this is when you detail it up, because normally in these pictures you do broad kind of lines, and that's actually appropriate when you're drawing too. You don't start out drawing an eyeball and you detail it up completely. You tend to draw the eyeball first, the structure of it, and that gives you the opportunity to go, okay, I can make this a little shinier, I can add some details here. And that's true, I think, when you're drawing people all over, like when I do life drawing, I'll draw a general shape for their head, their body, their arms, and all that. And then you refine those shapes, the silhouette. And then you bring out all the details, and the likeness comes through and all that. And that's why these pages, they are rife with opportunity. And I don't know another word for it because, it's adding form to a thing or adding texture to a thing. I guess I see those as opportunities. You bring this picture to life with all these additional things that you add. So if you add pattern or texture, um, if you have good negative space, you have like those qualities, good contour lines, all of that makes your picture more and more interesting to look at. And you want that. You want to capture someone's attention, capture their eye. And with detail, you have to balance out detail. So I was just wondering, imagining someone asking, like, could you detail too much? And yeah, the answer is yeah. You could have a picture that's so covered in detail, it's not even interesting to look at. I think you actually need to balance that with simplicity. So you have simple and you have complex. And if you go back and forth with that, it's all foundational. The simplicity is a foundation for the complexity, the chaos to kind of be there. And you can have images that are too simple as well, where you understand them immediately. So I look at a picture, let's say, of a heart. It's a simple heart shape, you know, like you've seen before. You get it immediately. You understand that heart immediately, and there's nothing else to know about it. This might be messy, but you make it 3D, add some texture, make it shiny. I don't know. Your mind just wants to look at it more. It's more interesting. So even though you're seeing this page and like your eye looks at this one, it still wants to look at this one. And that's the idea with adding extra features, I suppose. All right. So there's my page. I think I'm done. I don't think I have anything more I could add to it. I'll give you a close-up look. And that's almost an hour. So yeah, I'll I'll end it here pretty shortly. Definitely try to bring some people, or at least try to come by tomorrow. We're gonna do it at 10:30 again. Leave some comments if you like this video, and if you want to see some more. If you have any questions you want answered, bring them tomorrow, or just send me a message. Happy to answer them. You can find our drawing pages on our website, kopialine.com, and the book is for sale there as well. So yeah, thanks and good luck drawing.